When I ask MMI Prep senior pitcher Marcus Danchison if the game is still as much fun as it was in Little League, he gives an answer every team would love to hear from their ace.
I think it's more fun than it is then because it's more competitive now. Before it was so focused on having fun, and now it can be having fun from being so competitive and from winning.
Danchison's eyes light up when you mention the word competition. After having last season canceled due to the COVID-19 pandemic, he's ready to compete for his second District 2 Single A championship in 4 years, and so are his teammates. These are some of their stories. MMI senior first baseman Kevin Mcnulty has sports in his blood. His mother and father both worked in athletics at the United States Merchant Marine Academy. When the family moved to Pennsylvania from New York, Mcnulty picked up a bat. He was little then, but now he looms large in the field and in the batting order for the Preppers.
Kevin in particular, man, he's got a work ethic that's just off the charts. The transformation he's done in himself, over the last 3 or 4 years. He was always just bigger than everybody else, but now he's transformed himself into, he's bigger and he's a beast, and he's athletic, and he's aware of what he's capable of doing, and he uses that to his advantage now. He's such a smart player too. He's played so much baseball his life. It's like, really with him and Danch, it's like having an extra coach out there, because they both know so much about the game, and can help us, while they're out there on the field.
In the 2019 District 2 Single A semifinals, Mcnulty blasted 2 home runs, including a grand slam against Forest City. He drove in 7 of MMI's 12 runs in the shutout victory. The scary thing for teams in the area is that he's ready to do even bigger things at the plate in his senior season.
Well, hitting at the plate, I think that's come a long way since my freshman year. I used to spray everywhere and hit singles, but now I think I'm really getting in tune with being that middle of the lineup power guy that hopefully looking to do damage this year.
Since the beginning of the pandemic, there's been a lot of ups and downs for local athletes, but Mcnulty was kind of ready for the ride after battling some injuries in his career.
I've torn both my labrums. I tore one going into freshman year and tore one going into sophomore year. And it's a lot of work in the off season trying to get healthy. A lot of physical therapy and stuff like that, trying to get back to what's normal. I feel that, I wouldn't say necessarily lucky to have those things happen to me, but grateful that it helped me prepare for a time like this.
Now he's ready to once again circle the bases for MMI. What's about the feeling of hitting a home run? What does it feel like?
It's exhilarating.
Do you notice anything? Do you take your time around the bases, or is it just let's get on with the game, I want to get around?
No, you definitely take your time, and I feel like you're almost weightless running the bases. You get so much adrenaline because what you just did is really special.
Colin Williams grew up playing baseball and watching the Philadelphia Phillies.
So obviously when I was younger, you see guys like Chase Utley and you're like, oh, he's so cool. But now that I'm a senior in high school and looking to maybe play college baseball, it's more of watching what they actually do and learning off of them. Because obviously they're at such a higher level than anybody else, and you can really learn so much from those guys just from watching the stands.
Williams has developed into a player that his teammates can learn from watching.
He didn't come here until he was his sophomore year, so coming in as a 10th grader and realizing, his best position's first base, and realizing Kevin's pretty established there. We asked Colin, and we had to get his bat into the lineup. His bat was too good to not play. So we asked him to embrace something he never did before, and that was to take on third base. And he didn't hesitate, he didn't question anything, he didn't doubt himself at all. He worked hard, he really put the time in, and by the end of the season he became a really solid third baseman for us. And I think that's an example of, again, having the work ethic, having the mature characteristics of understanding what's best for the team, and also we're trying to make them better at the same time too. And now he's a little more versatile, and that's why A coach at the next level might look at him and say, I need to have this guy as part of my program.
MMI senior pitcher Marcus Danchison was looking for another hobby when he was little, and that's when he found baseball. Years later, he's the Preppers ace who's going to play at the NCAA Division I level at Lehigh University.
He's got a passion to compete and better himself, that's unmatched to a lot of kids I've ever coached. And again, he's got this God-given talent, just on the mound. To have the composure and the mound presence that he does, to take the ball as a freshman at PNC Field, against a very good Forest City team, and hit them with 9 strikeouts, I think it was. Not many freshmen can do that, and he looked on that mound like he belonged that day, like he had finally found somewhere he belongs, and he does. He belongs out on that mountain. That's his place in the world where he can go and he can be himself.
Danchison has over 100 strikeouts in his MMI career, and remember, they missed the season because of the pandemic.
A lot of work goes into it, especially now because I'm going through some changes with my arm slot and other things, so I'm looking a lot more for the spin of my pitches. But before, I've always had natural movement on my fastballs, and I've always had a very good changeup. So everything else was kind of just like touch and feel, what looked nice, what felt right, until now when I'm really getting into more analytics of my pitches.
Along with his impressive pitches, Lehigh University saw something else in Danchison.
It was my overall game, and the fact I was a quick learner when I needed to change things, or in games if something was going wrong, I was quick to adapt to things. Some days you'll go out there on the mound and what was working for the past 2 years decides to just completely go away for a day.
See, that's maddening. How do you deal with this? That's just sort of you accept it. You're like, okay, that's part of the game and life, and you just learn from it.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that I can really do is in between innings try and figure it out, but you kind of just have to accept it that day you're not going to be able to throw that pitch and move on from it.
So our stories come to an end with those important words from Danchison for baseball players and really for everyone as we live through a global pandemic. Now it's time for these 3 young men and their teammates to take to the field to create more memories, more stories, and possibly another championship for MMI baseball. For SSPTV Sports, I'm Ken Cara.